The smallest, invisible particles matter the most when it comes to dealing with air pollution, researchers have found in two recent studies. Ultrafine particles, which have almost negligible weight and surface area and are hence are not considered a threat to the air we breathe, do have an effect on haze formation, visibility, and air pollution. The basics of open-book financial management involve sharing information with employees to not only help them do their jobs effectively but to also help them understand how the company is performing. The benefit distills down to this: companies perform better when people see themselves as partners in the business rather than hired hands. A human mission to Mars has been the subject of science fiction since the 1880s, and of aerospace engineering and scientific proposals since the late 1940s. Plans include landing on Mars for exploration, with some considering exploring its moons. Effective decision-making is defined as the process through which alternatives are selected and then managed through implementation to achieve business objectives. Effective decisions result from a systematic process, with clearly defined elements, that is handled in a distinct sequence of steps. Conservation scientists manage natural resources, such as land and water. They develop programs that make resources productive and also protect them. These scientists make complex decisions and come up with plans that balance economic goals with environmental impact and also meet government regulations. Red foxes make a variety of different sounds including barks, screams, howls and squeals. Recent studies have identified 12 different sounds produced by adults and 8 by kids. Two of the most commonly heard calls are the bark and scream, perhaps because these are the loudest and can be heard for some distance. During the winter, clouds appear in the Arctic and the Antarctic stratospheres. These clouds have been observed for over a century, and during most of that time they were considered an interesting and beautiful but relatively unimportant phenomenon. Your dreams may actually be telling you something really important about how you feel in your waking life, feelings that you either don't recognize or have compartmentalized. All of these dreams denote some kind of negativity or have implications of insecurity.
Today, however, Skinner's heirs are forcing the skeptics to think again, see article. Backed by billionaire techies such as Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, schools around the world are using new software to personalize learning. This could help hundreds of millions of children stuck in dismal classes, but only if edtech boosters can resist the temptation to revive harmful ideas about how children learn. To succeed, edtech must be at the service of teaching, not the other way around. At the end of this year, we will launch the Cup-class boats. So these will be about twice the power. The sailors are down in cockpits, unlike today. A lot of the power is being generated by these 4 grinders that are providing hydraulic power, and that energy is being used to control the flying surface, the hydrofoil, and is also being used to control the wing and the flaps, effectively the engine, of what we have. Perhaps the most memorable benefit of the program has been the opportunity to meet in small groups, something that is difficult to arrange such a desperate organization. Many officers would have to work together for 30 years but would not know others' strength and weakness. Prolonged exposure to loud noise alters how the brain processes speech, potentially increasing the difficulty in distinguishing speech sounds, according to neuroscientists. Exposure to intensely loud sounds leads to permanent damage of the hair cells, which act as sound receivers in the ear. Once damaged, the hair cells do not grow back, leading to noise-induced hearing loss. Although it is difficult to take people back to the moon, it is not impossible. We can transport people, but the logistical challenge of keeping them there is a very different thing. However, we have two of the components necessary to make this work: power from the sun, and the minerals on the moon itself. Scientists and researchers are already busy working on this in laboratories. Exhilarating, exhausting, and intense. There are just some of the words used to describe doing an MBA. Everyone's experience of doing MBA is, of course, different through denying that it's hard and a demanding work whichever course you do. MBA is one of the fastest growing areas of studying in the UK, so that must be a sustainable benefit against form in one pain. Mass extinctions of land-dwelling animals, including amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and birds, follow a cycle of about 27 million years, coinciding with previously reported mass extinctions of ocean life, according to a new analysis. Participating regularly in physical activity has been shown to benefit an individual's health and well-being. Regular physical activity is important in reducing the risk of chronic diseases, such as heart disease and stroke, obesity, diabetes, and some forms of cancer. The National Physical Activity Guidelines for Adults recommends at least 30 minutes of moderate-intensity physical activity, preferably every day of the week, to obtain health benefits. Traditional divisions of domestic work are understood to persist because of the strong association of the home with humanity and paid work with masculinity. To challenge who does what in the home is arguably tantamount to challenge what it is to be a woman or a man. The sad truth is that happy sounds are infectious. Now comes research that at least partly explains why. It was published this week in the Journal of Neuroscience. A British research team played various sounds including laughter to people who are having their brains scanned by a functional MRI machine. All the sounds activated the premotor cortical region of the brain. That area prepares facial muscles to move. It isn't rare for private equity houses to hire grads fresh out of business school, but 9 times out of IO, the students who nab these jobs are the ones who had private equity experience under their belt before even starting their MBA program. The semiconductor industry has been able to improve the performance of electric systems for more than 4 decades by making ever smaller devices. However, this approach will soon encounter both scientific and technical limits, which is why the industry is exploring a number of alternative device technologies.